something we all need. Gotta have it now if you wanna succeed. Striving, surviving, that's no doubt. Sticking together, we gon' find a way out. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all.
Good afternoon, the Back community. Thank you as always for staying involved. Thank you for staying engaged. Tonight we have one of the hometown's finest. We have one of the Capital District's finest. We have the master barber himself, a man who owns and runs Bricks Barbershop as well as Jabs, Jay Allen's Barber Studio, a good friend of mine and a community hero. On the Back community today, we have Mr. Jay Ellis. So Jay, first things first, man, thank you for affording me your time today. I look forward to diving into your story.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and you choosing to spend just a little bit of time with me. It's definitely very humbling. And, I just appreciate, this time. That's all.
Okay. Well, listen, man, I know I'm probably going to get into it later. So, like I said, I've worked with Jay for a long time because his barbershop and his partners were so gracious enough to allow us to partner with them on giving out free haircuts to the community for years, an event that has spiraled out and become its own initiative at several barbershops and organizations throughout the city. But I would like to say the first one started with the model program in Bricks Barbershop.
Absolutely.
And that was a huge thing.
We appreciate it. T, you could have went to anybody. You decided to come home and, start something that, was needed. And we appreciate you initiating that and starting with us. We definitely, giving back is the least that we could do in our community. A haircut means more than just cutting somebody's hair. So, when you came to us, man, we were just like, wow, this is a great thing, great thing that you started and initiated. And like you said, it just went like crazy, like wildfire for the years. So you're the initiator. You're the guy. So
listen. It took me to have a juggernaut like Bricks Barber Salon to actually help me to kick it off. And one, I went to you guys strategically because you're right centrally located in the heart of the community. You guys have connections with everybody from the politicians to the street hustler to the entrepreneur, because everyone comes in to get their haircut. And I understand the importance of and the value of a haircut. So it was just like, I looked at my own life over the years and how I know personally people who did not go to school, the first week, maybe even the first 2 weeks, because they couldn't get a haircut or they couldn't get any new clothes. So they would figure they would just hold out and wait until everybody got all of their new stuff out and then come to school. So, the whole idea with that was to take the pressure, the extra added pressure off of the parents of coming up with, the funds to get their kids situated for school. And I was so thankful that you guys agreed to partner with us for all of those years.
Man, definitely, brother. Honor. Definitely honor.
Well, let me see, man. I know who you are, and I know you got tons of fans, because at the moment I put that picture out there and said who was the next guest on the Back community, you got the most likes in the shortest amount of time that I have ever seen. And this is season 3 for me in doing the Back community. So the people want to hear what you got to say. So I'm going to give you my first official question, Jay. I know who you are, but here's the perfect opportunity to tell the Back community more about you. What kind of work do you do?
Well, obviously I'm a master barber. I'm Jason Ellis. Been working in the community over 25 years. And a master barber, but that's not all that I believe I am. A community you know, I'm definitely a supporter of supporting our young men and young ladies and improving not only their appearance, but the way that we have to strategically put things together in order to move in our community. You need good examples. You need good mentors. It's our duty as master barbers or hairstylists to be one pillar in the community, one of the most influential in the community, next to the churches and mosques. People, you know, we need certain pillars. We need to be able to say, you know what, I need to go and see Mr. J. That's my name now. It ain't J, it's Mr. J now. That's what happened to me being OG in this game. And at first I used to fight it. But, you know, I grew up in Latham, you know, originally from Albany, but we, you know, my parents had moved out to Latham when I was 10. And basically trying to be a great example. You know, my parents are from down south, and just like a lot of the community, they moved up to Albany basically to try and get a better life. And, you know, moving out there and the diversity that I first faced in that demographic, it definitely was a challenge and experience when I first got out there as a young Black man. But I found out it was one of the best things that my parents had did for me. Sometimes we fight diversity, but we have to embrace it.
I agree.
We have to see that the fact that, you know, hey, there are some people that are intimidated by whether it's the difference of your skin, difference of your speech, your appearance, you know, your traditions, your customs. And I was definitely exposed to that when I was younger. And, you know, graduated from Shaker, went to Hudson Valley. I wasn't even thinking about barbering. My main thing was I wanted to do something I didn't know, just like a lot of these young men. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I know that I had to be productive in something. You know, I was blessed to have parents that, you know, hey, you know, I had old school pops that would yell about everything. You know, hey, boy, sit down. Hey, do this. Hey, look, if you want to be something, you got to do something.
Facts.
Yelling all the time. But, you know, now that I'm older, I understand we need that. We need that certain structure.
Yep.
Especially us as Black men out here. You know, it's a fighting struggle, both mentally, spiritually, and structurally. You know, I have my views as far as where they try to place us.
Okay.
But all that to say, I started at True Images, cutting hair with John Wafer, and appreciated the time and him taking his time and his patience, you know, to basically shape me to be, you know, where I'm at today. You know, between John and then Daryl, you know, I am indebted for the time and patience. And so when that occurred, and then I moved on and, you know, teamed up with Daryl and DeJuan, brother, we basically created Voltron, which was great.
Absolutely. Revolutionized it.
Yes. And so at that time, we were one of the first to have, you know, a higher end, big barbershop in the city. You know, it was a great experience. We're still going strong. But you know, along the way we had some bumps and bruises, but we learned. we learned collectively as a team, as a brotherhood. And, you know, these experiences and those experiences have shaped me to be the businessman I am today.
I love it.
So
I love it.
yeah. So, you know, according to, you know, what people think, running a shop, I don't know what people think, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge. You're not just managing, you know, but you're managing lives, staff, community, you know, even dealing with certain politics. And you always, you know, have to survey the room. And I've learned over the years to get better at that, because I wasn't the best at that at first.
I like that you say that, because by default, you're a master barber, right? By default. But in your position, you are a therapist, friend, counselor, protector, just in the entities that you run, right? You know, I've been going to Bricks for a very, very long time. Whenever I come home, you know, I still go get my hair cut from there. And if I can't get my hair cut from there, I'm coming up to Jabs to get my hair cut, right? Yes. So, you know, and you have to encounter us as the community or people who come in with their own baggage, their own issues, right? And it's just like, we always know that the barbershop is a safe and welcomed environment, right? So, you know, we got the traditional movies with Ice Cube, you got the barbershop, and I think that they characterize it properly in a lot of ways, because the conversations that come in, or the people that's going to come in and try to sell you something on a whim, you just never know. And like you said, you have gotten skillful at how you address those issues and how you interact with the people. I do have a question for you. Well, actually, first things first, shout out to Mr. Wafer, shout out to Daryl for you. I did interview him on season 1 because what you guys have been able to build and maintain for all of these years, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, it is inspiring, because as a black man, it is very, very healthy for me to see other black men, and this is not just limited to black people, because I believe in diversity, right? But I am a black man, and I understand how hard it is to be successful. I also understand how hard it is to maintain a business, and where most businesses fold normally after the first, or within the first 2 years. You have not only been able to partner with other individuals and run one barbershop, but you've been blessed and skilled enough to expand further. And now you have Jabs, now you have Jay Allen Barber Studio as well. You know, how has entrepreneurship been for you?
Humbling. Humbling. Entrepreneurship has been probably my challenge. When I say this is, for me to get behind my chair and me to perform that service, that's always kind of came, it's almost like basketball, right? So you can work hard on your game, but to try and get your team to emulate the intensity that it takes, and the consistency and the hard work, I think that was the biggest challenge for me, because I needed these guys. So, you know, just like, you know, some people say, oh, I don't need them, this and that. If I'm in a team concept, I need these guys.
Facts.
You know, I need these guys because there's some certain strengths that they have that I don't. And I'm man enough to say that, you know, but entrepreneurship, I would say is always been, you know, to open up a shop is one thing. To maintain your shop through good times and bad times, that's a tough thing. You know, because everybody sees the highlights. You know, we're in the social media type of world now that you see the highs entrepreneurship,
and that's it.
but you don't see the hard work, the hours that you put in. You're constantly thinking you're not thinking for you, you're thinking for everybody else. And how am I able to maintain, how am I able to get this vision of mine, basically having your staff to buy into the plan. That has always been somewhat of a challenge for me because, I'm an introvert by nature. At one time, I bought into the plan, hey, I'm doing this. When you're your own entity and a barber by yourself behind your chair, that's one thing, but to create the team concept is another. Right. So, and that's anything. And I take that in any business move that I make. I dibble and dabble with real estate as well. And, in those real estate deals, you have to create a team that's going to be able to make whatever your vision is efficient, whether you're flipping houses, whether you're trying to create better homes for the community, or you're just creating, what's the word I'm looking for? You're creating a portfolio for yourself.
Yes.
So all of those aspects, you got to look at the fact that I need somebody. I do.
Yep.
You need, shoot, me running a business, regardless of, even if I was by myself and I didn't have any staff, I need an accountant, I need a good lawyer. I need people that, around me that, can give me sound advice as well. Therapists need therapy at times.
Oh, absolutely. My therapist better have a therapist.
So, entrepreneurship has been challenging, but very rewarding. I would say that. All in all.
Okay. Interesting enough, how did I know? Well, technically, we're still in a pandemic, right? We're still dealing with COVID, but obviously, the restrictions aren't what they used to be when it first hit. But how did COVID affect your businesses or the barbering industry? And do you think there were any positive things that came out of COVID as it pertained to, your interaction with clients?
Well, I think that COVID definitely shook up my industry. We definitely went through a time warp. So the era that that when we started, that era is gone. So it was when you had all those changes and all these restrictions, it changed a lot of the parameters with me because I'm old school. And so a lot of clientele, they weren't going to come outside. Yeah. A lot of the clientele, they did it when they had to. And, you had to dig deep and evolve with time, so there was a lot of changes. You had to reform, you had to change in the business. Now a lot of people, they don't, they now with the spacing and being kind of distant, we had to change the parameters of bricks. It's more of an appointment based now. So there's a lot of social media and a lot of platforms that, was appointment based. Yeah. So it changed a lot. Me, it was like a wall and I had to learn how to climb up. And it was one of the most humbling situations in my life. Was that pandemic. But, a good master barber knows that he doesn't know everything. A good businessman knows that in life, business changes, so you have to evolve with business. So it just forced me to change and evolve. So I turned out to be a much better businessman, much better barber, and, all across the board.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, my pastor used to always say, he's like, if we come, what do you say? If we come out of this pandemic the same way that we went in it, we did something wrong,
Hmm.
right? So
Absolutely.
though there were, there were a lot of negatives, especially number one, the lives that we lost, the families affected, right? But based upon how you choose to view it, there were a lot of positives that came out of that time period too. It forced a lot of us to dig deep. It forced a
Hmm.
lot of us to be creative. It forced
Hmm.
a lot of us to think outside the box and say, well, you know what? Like you said, I have to adapt with the times. And I
Hmm.
think the most successful people in life have the ability to adapt,
Hmm.
right? Because the
Hmm.
world is ever evolving. If we lose people, they pass away, the world doesn't stop. It continues to evolve, it continues to go. And it's like, how do
Hmm.
we adjust to the changes? And those who make the necessary adjustments, you know what I mean? Not to say it's easy, but they're able to progress. So
Right. And
uh
we're still changing. We're
yeah,
still changing as we go. The pandemic's not totally over.
yeah,
We're still trying to make these adjustments and figure out things. Even the government's trying to make their adjustments as well. You
yeah.
know, they got smacked. So it is what it is. But I'm just thankful that, hey, I'm still around. You're around. We're
Mhm.
here. Um, and we're just gonna make the best of it.
I love it. I love it. All right, let me see. Listen, there's so much I want to ask you
Mhm.
because, like I said, just the pure nature of who you come into contact with. So, one of the biggest things is a growing concern for violence, right? In
Mhm.
the community, it just seems like with social media, it's taken violence to an all-time high, and
Right.
the fact that we can watch it in real time.
Mhm.
But as a barbershop, like
Mhm.
your institution, I said earlier, is one of the safe places. It's one of the safe havens, right? People
Mhm.
know that,
Yeah.
inside here,
Mhm.
what I mean, this isn't what we're gonna do. Inside here, you're gonna
Mhm.
have your pants up, or inside here, what I
Mhm.
mean, we're gonna watch the language, or inside here,
Right.
right? But
Mhm.
for a person who's been active in the community for as long as you have been,
Mhm.
um, what are some of the most drastic changes you've seen with the youth, and your interaction with them coming in and out of your shops?
Um, I think the era that you guys came from and this era that we deal with now, um, these kids have a lot going on.
Mm.
And you have some children out there that are pretty much raising themselves.
Mhm.
Um, and my heart goes out to them. And social media doesn't make things any better. Um, so when we're dealing with the kids now, we pretty much try to treat them the same way as the young guys years ago, but it's a little different now.
Mhm.
You definitely got to survey the room. There's a lot of different things that I see um, that are a little bit worse than
Mhm.
years ago.
Okay.
Mental illness in our community
All
is
time high.
all time high. The lack of sympathy,
Mhm.
the narcissistic behavior, that I see as far as what I feel with our administration. And
Gotcha.
when I say that is, there's a lot of kids that I see, because I was down at Bricks yesterday, and there's a lot of kids that I see that I watched grow up, and they didn't do that well,
Mhm.
and they're out there on the streets,
Yeah.
and they got to figure out some programs that are going to help these young men, um, and they can't help it,
Mhm.
and my heart goes out to them. I watched you get in my chair with a child seat,
Yeah.
and now you out here, you know, struggling trying to figure out life. Not that you don't want to,
Yeah.
but you can't.
Mhm.
And again, social media has made it somewhat difficult too to kind of direct a lot of these young men in the right path too, because hey, they're captivated by the phones or the video games. And you know, sometimes when you're sitting there and we're having a dialogue like you and me, and it's like, hey, you know, you're trying to speak to the young man, but he's so caught up in social media or the video game, which, you know, desensitizes sometimes life.
Absolutely. Yep.
It desensitizes it. You're glorifying something that is tragic. So you're, instead of helping that person, you're taking a picture of that person and the trauma that they're going through.
Listen, that is probably one of the nastiest things I can ever see, is when, you know, your first response is to film and not to help. Right. Yes. And I know, and I'm not saying like helping is the easiest job, because obviously being the person who goes out to go help, 9 times out of 10, you're the person that gets either in trouble or get hurt by trying to help. But it is just like, you know, like you said, now it's so desensitized that we think that it's cool to watch all of the fights. We think that it's desensitized to watch someone go through some type of a mental episode, right? And it's just like, you know, I think a lot of it, we need more tools in regards to dealing with emotional illness, mental illness, and, you know, I think, you know, even in contrast to what you see on Central Avenue at Bricks, and to what you see as you go further up to where Jabs is at, right? You know,
still see it, bro.
Yeah,
you still see it, bro. It's even though the demographics a little different, but mental illness is mental illness. Drug abuse is drug abuse. And to me, the big question is, and this is what I want people to ask themselves, is why? That's a big, it's a small word, but it's a big word. Why? You know, why did we get to this part? What made us, and why are we not caring for our brother the way we should?
I actually I didn't expect that answer. I expected it to be like, you know, it was a contrast in what you see. But, you know, it's really interesting to hear that. And, you know, and I'm thankful that you said it, because I in my mind, I automatically assumed that what you were seeing in one location, you know, that's a little bit further away would be different. But mental illness is at an all-time high, as you said earlier.
Mental illness,
so it's everywhere.
Illness. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter, you know, obviously our community, we face it. You know, this demographic's a little different. They face it, but we're facing it. Is it different the way that things are being done in our community compared to out here? Yes, but mental illness is mental illness. The last time I think there was a shooting in California, 11 or 12 people died. That wasn't our community.
Nope.
So mental illness is mental illness.
Yep.
So one way or another, you know, and then you got to ask yourself why. But is it mental illness? Is it political issues? Is it spiritual? You know, because I believe I'm a spiritual man.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I don't like to put religion on you know, as a standard or a stamp. You know, and what we do and what and how we're here, but we're here spiritually.
Absolutely. You just hit three points. Is it spiritual? Is it political? I forgot the other one. Is it spiritual? Is it political? But it was, listen, where you're on with that one is super important, because some of it is politics. Right, you see the rollout of different things, where it's strategically happening at, as opposed to not happening in other areas. But absolutely. I'm glad that you said the faith-based one as well, because, you know, we can't control a lot of the other parameters external to us, but there are some things that we do have control over. And that's been my attitude for years, right? I don't focus in on the larger system because I know I don't have the capacity to change the larger system. I have the capacity to change me and the people that I choose to be around, right?
Yes, absolutely.
My religion, my faith has gotten me through everything, right?
Yes.
And I think that, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, it could still be as helpful today as it was in years past.
Yes.
And why or are we making the necessary connections for ourselves spiritually in order to be able to get the right guidance that we need? Because it can't be social media guiding us.
And I believe in that, and that's another reason it goes back to the word why. Why? Because this brother might believe in the higher being different than me, but I'm supposed to. I mean, whether it's God, Jehovah, you know, whatever you want to call him, Allah, it's all based off of love. But you're so angry because I have a difference of opinion that you are willing to kill me because of my faith difference between you instead of loving you. See, I think that the issue that lies with us is that we've gotten away from love, brother. The community and the world has gotten away from love. We are so caught up in other stuff.
Okay. How about
I don't want to even sound like this, man.
No.
But it just hit me. You know what I'm saying? You know, at the end of the day, man, Bricks was brought up, you know, I was brought into a situation barbering had to do with love. Because if I didn't love you enough, I wouldn't have tried to perform the service to enhance you, to make you feel better, but also, according to society standards, to look less threatening, to be acceptable, according to society standards. We've gotten away from that, brother.
And, you know, you said something, you talked about it, especially when you talked about moving from Albany to Latham and the diversity that you experienced, right? I still think that diversity, as it pertains to thought, right? Like, I think right now we live in a place where everyone feels like, you know, I only want people who think, see, and operate the same way as me, right? As opposed to being said, hey, well, you know what? Jay has created these entities, or Jay moves this way, right? He might move differently than me, right? Why don't, especially if I want what Jay has, right? Why don't I ask Jay, you know, how he moves, right? And take a little bit of what he has to incorporate into my day-to-day, right? We don't really operate in that spirit anymore either. It's just like, you know, diversity isn't as welcomed as it used to. It's kind of like everyone, let me not say everyone. Diversity is a very healthy thing, right? To be able to take in diversity from people that look like you, from people who don't look like you, and put it all together to create the package that you actually want. But I think understanding diversity really will help you in a lot of those other areas as well, whether it's from politics, whether it's from spiritual level, like you said, being able to be open-minded to, you know, I got friends who are Muslims. I got friends who are Christians. I studied Judaism, Islam, and Christianity at one point in my life because it's really important for me to be tolerant. It's really important for me to be, you know, appreciative of other people's cultures, right?
Embrace the diversity. That's what you did. You embraced the diversity, and you were more well-rounded. You know, see, you studied all aspects of religion, so that it makes you more well-rounded, and like you said, being able to kind of understand where certain backgrounds are, man, and just look, I admire you for doing that. I studied a couple religions myself, and it definitely humbled me. It definitely humbled me. You know, but on the community tip, what my thoughts is that we just have to embrace the diversity. When I was a kid, you know, do you face racism in certain areas? Absolutely. Racism is real. You know, diversity, but racism is the harsh, you know, reality of diversity. Some people don't like certain things because they really just haven't given the time to study somebody else. They have been not so much forced, but sometimes you got generational blinkered thinking people that, you know, that's what was taught. This is what it is, you know, and this is how we're going to live. And you limit yourself that way. You limit yourself that way, and that's why the world is the way it is. To me, the elite, when I say the elite, the top 1.5% people of the world, they know what diversity, or they know what racism does. Division causes wars. Wars cause the economy to make money.
Absolutely.
Somebody's
profitable.
Money.
Yep,
you know,
it's profitable.
It's profitable. So, you know, my thing is, if we can stay away from that and kind of get to know and get to know that person instead of just sitting there and putting a label on that person might be more like you than you really know.
I agree. You probably got more in common, and I didn't see this until like people I knew started getting locked up. But you know, Albany is typically divided by what area you grew up in. But when you get locked up, right? So you end up clicking with people just from Albany in general, as opposed to Arbor Hill, South End, right? You start to find that, you know, you got more in common with some of the people from the South End than some of the people in Arbor Hill, or if you're from the South End, that you got more in common with people from Arbor Hill. But like you said, sometimes it just takes you, and unfortunately, that's just one example, but it takes you to get pulled outside of your comfort zone to understand the importance of diversity. But
absolutely.
Let me see, man. I wanna take you somewhere else. Because I think that you are a multifaceted person, and I don't think that we always get a chance to see or hear that aspect of you. So here's some of my fun questions too. One of my favorite ones from season 1. What's your favorite place to visit in the Capital District area, and why?
Capital District, the acquired taste of the 518. I would say I like our museum.
Okay.
I like our museum.
The inside or the outside? Because some people talk about just being on the on the outside and hanging out there, but some people in the inside of the museum.
I'm talking about the inside.
Okay.
I'm talking about the inside. The outside's cute, but the inside. I'm a person that, you know, 2 things that I love, and a lot of people don't know this. I'm a musician by trade, but I just don't, you know, obviously I decided to take master barbering up more serious. And then I'm a historian.
Did not know either one of those two.
Right. So you got to be able to understand history so that you can kind of dictate your future. If you do not know what goes on in your past, then how are you going to dictate? You know, so I do like our museum, but obviously I love the museum down near your way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Listen,
yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Listen, that one right there. I said a couple of years ago that we were going to make it a tradition to go every Columbus Day because it's a day off, that we have. And I was just like, we went like 2 years in a row, and then we stopped going because, one, is so much information there, right? And I always tell everybody who comes to come visit us here, I'd be like, and they want to go, so we always get tickets. And I say, you got to start at the bottom. There's so much history just here in the bottom that most people, they get mixed reviews. They say, oh, start at the top. I said, no, start at the bottom. Start at the bottom, work your way to the top, because, understanding your history is super important. Not only just from a historical standpoint, but you can help to evade some of the mistakes. You can help to understand why some of the things or where the jargon or the culture gets its inspiration from. And you can also understand how resilient we are as Black people. Right. And it's just like, I think today's generation in a lot of ways are missing the resiliency. Right. And my pastor just said this last Sunday, and he was just like, we grew up in an era where our parents didn't give us options. They told us what to do. Right. And it was just like, I didn't ask you how you feel. Right. I told you how you feel.
And this is what we do. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And now it's just like, and I look at it, I got 3 kids. So it's just like, we're asking them more, which is, in one way it's good. So I'm not trying to say that's all negative, but we're creating more emotionally intelligent young adults. Right. But I also think in that creation, we also have to still try to give them some gritty. And it's like, this is how you do without. Right. It's okay to do without. You just don't be crying and whining because you don't get it. Right. But it's just a difference. But
yeah, definitely, brother. This era, like you touched on earlier, it's a lot different in the fact that the struggle is different. The struggle is different. I can't say that these kids have it easier to a certain extent. There's certain things that are more efficient, but it doesn't mean that it's easier.
I like that.
Technology makes it more efficient, but you still have to work. So some way, somehow, that's the delivery that we have to create with the young people, because there's some that are amazing and there's some grit, but they don't know how to, they don't understand, like, and I was young too, I thought I had it all figured out, but they're just different. I mean, between technology and everything else out here that we see, you think about it.
We gotta bridge the gap, though. We gotta bridge the gap.
Some way, somehow, we have to bridge the gap. And think about it, like, if you ask a kid right now about Dewey Decimal System in the library, they'll talk about Google. I'm going to Google that. I'm going to Google Dewey Decimal System. What is that? And that's just an example on, there's certain things that they just don't know. They don't, and maybe that's our fault. That we didn't deliver what our parents delivered to us. You had slavery, right? Then you had the world wars, and then you had, industrial revolution, and then you had, segregation, desegregation, war on drugs, all these things, all these facets of life, but there's a gap. So sometimes it might be us, sometimes it's our educational system too that we have to revise. Okay.
I agree. And
I'm talking about traditional education. I'm not talking about, some of the charter school systems and what they're trying to implement. What I'm saying is the traditional syllabus that's given to these educators, it's not touching on maybe some of the stuff that we need to touch on.
Okay. And the fact that traditionally your first teachers are your parents. right?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so we can't always put it on. Obviously, if we're entrusting our kids to these systems, they have
Right.
a role to play. But as parents, you know, we have a role to play, to be involved too. And it doesn't mean that we have all of the time in the world, obviously, because most people
Mhm.
still have to work. You can't attend everything, but
It takes a village.
we are the first teachers our kids ever see, and we got to
Right.
prepare them to be taught by other people too.
That's right. And it does take a village to raise your children. Um, it was funny. I was in the shop and, having one of those general conversations in the shop, and I brought up PTA,
Mm.
and someone was like, huh? What? And I'm sitting there like, at first I'm like, but then I got to remember, like, you know what? Yeah, they don't know about the PTA, man.
Mm.
They don't know about that. Parent Teacher Association.
Absolutely.
It's something that we needed. My father, again, old school guy, he always said to the teacher, if there's any issues with this kid right here,
Mm-hmm.
you let me know, because I'm going to do my job at the house and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that he's going to come in, he's going to present himself and conduct himself so that he can learn and be a better young man.
Mm.
That's my job. Your job is to teach. My job at home is to make sure that he's structured and ready to be taught. It's a game. It's a game plan. It's a team effort. And it's funny because me and you having this conversation, I remember all this stuff,
Yeah.
like yesterday. And if my mother's on here, she's probably cracking up. But it takes a village, man.
Mm.
And sometimes, again, parents, community getting caught up in the wrong stuff.
Mm.
Wrong stuff.
I like it. And
So,
and you said it again earlier too, though. You said that, with a lot of the younger parents, it's not that they're not doing it because they don't want to. Sometimes they don't know how. And a lot of people want better, but don't know how, and also don't have people that are patient enough to show them. But in some instances, they are shown, and they're not taking advantage of it. But let me
right.
see, man. I got two more questions for you, and I'm
That's all
letting you
right.
go, Jay.
No, you ain't gotta let me go. I just gotta go get my charger.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because my phone is acting like it wants to tap out on me. Maybe I'm importing too much information in the phone. It wants to tap out on me. But okay. Here we
Perfect.
are.
Perfect.
Yes.
Let's see. And this is me speaking for you, right? Being as successful as you are, right? How, and I think everyone has their own definition of success. How would you define success?
I would define success, peace.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter how much money you make. Doesn't matter how many cars, God knows I've had adventures with a lot of cars, where you stay at, whatever.
Hmm.
But if you don't have peace
Hmm.
in your heart and in your soul, there's no success. There's billionaires out there that are miserable. And they're just covering it up because, what society states of you being successful.
Mm.
But that has nothing to do with you. I think my level of success is, God knows I've tried to chase and chase and chase just like everybody else. But if you don't have that peace in your heart, that it doesn't mean anything. It don't mean anything. So I think my level of success, I appreciate you saying success, but and to a certain standard, I guess you could call me being successful. But I guess it's balance. I'm trying to figure out some balance so that, you know, I can be on that piece equal, you know, that level of, you know, this is all right. Because you know what? You make $1 million, you want to make another million. But that doesn't define success. What defines success?
Has that always been your stance on success, or is this the evolved J. Ellis stance?
This is the evolved,
okay,
mature,
okay,
J. Ellis.
Okay.
The humble, God-fearing J. Ellis.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? The person that will sit there and try to be as transparent and say, if I violated you, I apologize.
Facts.
Because holding that in is going to hold you up. Holding that in is going to hold you up. I don't want to have no malice towards anybody. I don't want no hate towards anybody. If anything, I have to congratulate. You know, and it's humbling. I had spoken to a young barber that last night, and I had to throw it out there to him that I was super proud of him and what he's doing and how he's taking what's out here right now as far as being in barbering and taking it to another level. You got to give these kids that. And I can learn from them. And I am learning from them.
I love it.
Just because I have my master barber paper doesn't mean I've mastered the craft. I'm constantly mastering. There's a difference. I want to master the art of life as well as barbering.
It's most important.
Yes.
It's most important. And mastering relationships, right? You know, we live in a time where everyone chases dollars and people don't understand the value of relationships, right? Where they'll burn every relationship to get the dollar. And then, you know, you don't have any relationships, but, you know, understanding the importance of relationships. And
that's social media. That's down. Not taking nothing away from social media, because there's a double-edged sword with social media. So social media can bring the best out of you. And it definitely can show you the worst. Because a lot of times I see certain things. This is the key to success. You got to cut this person off, cut that person off. And to a certain extent, you do have to cut dead weight and negativity away. I get that. But like you said, do you want to burn those bridges? Because some people are good people. They just need a chance. Some people are good people. They just need a chance. When I opened my shop and when I opened J. Allen, I emulated what Daryl had incited and put into me. Giving people an opportunity to be self-sufficient in a world that's so cold. That's what I try to do. That's what I'm willing to do. And sometimes people say, they ask you the question, why are you doing this? And even myself, sometimes you ask yourself, why are you doing it? Because somebody did it for me. So we've gotten away from that.
Yep.
And we got to get back to that.
I like it. I like it. Listen, man, being here in the DMV area, and even when I was in Charlotte, you know, everybody will always ask, like, you know, why am I so focused in on Albany? Right. And it's just like, you know, I love what I love. You know, I owe a great debt to that place, right? Because it made me into who I am. Right. I took the experiences elsewhere and learned different things, but no matter where I am in the world, if I'm in Morocco, if I'm in Charlotte, if I'm in the DMV area here, you know, I'm always thinking about, you know, how I could change and benefit not only here, because I'm involved a lot here, but how can I benefit and change the Capital District area, even with this platform? So,
yeah, brother, and you are, and like I said, what I've seen you've done, you know, because I watch everything, I just don't comment on it, and you've done a great job. Whether you were in Charlotte and now you're in the DMV area, which I'm not gonna lie, that's one of my favorite spots. You know, in the United States. We have a lot of people that are our complexion doing very well. And
absolutely.
Very so of course you would want to emulate that or try to bring that energy back up here to the 518. Of course, you know. I used to go to the barbershop, Mikey's barbershop. At least once a month. I would get my hair cut and go down to your area. And that was because I love the energy down there.
Yes.
It's definitely different down there.
Yeah.
It's definitely different. So, and you're making strides down there in that's a big pool down there, brother. And you're doing well, man. Doing well. Just keep on being encouraged, brother. And whatever God leads you, man, just keep doing what you're doing, brother. Because I see.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see. Thinking about all that you've been through, what about your life's path are you most proud of?
Life's path, what am I most proud of? I would say my family.
I love it.
I would say my family. Because you do this for your family. You don't do it for no one else. Taking care of the people who used to take care of you.
Okay. All right.
Yes, man.
All right. Well, listen, man. Listen.
Even now.
Yes.
You know, even now. Can I help you? It's still in me. So
listen. Thank you for helping. I love the OJ, but I really love the Evolve J. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being an example and being willing to share your story, right? Because it takes us to take the time to listen to an individual like yourself who has evolved, who has been through experiences to give us what we need, right? Because I'm underneath you, so then I can give who's underneath me what they need so that, you know, ultimately we create healthier people. But Jay, thank you very much for giving me your time, man. I know you're the busiest man in the world up there, so I ain't gonna hold you too much longer.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. It was great chopping up with you, man. And it's an honor. It's an honor, man. You know, and like I said, man, if there's any young barbers out there, entrepreneurs, man, put your time in. Put your time in, work hard. Don't put off what you can do now for tomorrow, because it might not be a tomorrow. So you have to put in those hours to get to that level of what they call success. There's no one running away from it. There's no quick, you know, instant great, even though it's Instagram, there's not instant great. And you know, there's a lot of good barbers out there, man. There's a lot of good beauticians out there. But the two things that stay humble and stay on the grind.
All right. You heard it first from Jay Ellis himself. Jay, thank you very much, man. Listen, I can't wait to get your story out to the people. I know social media ain't normally your thing. You killed it. So thank you for coming through and being on the back community, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. I'll play catch up with you later.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right. Peace.
Keep climbing up the ladder. Black lives matter. They matter. So all you young people, give me all. 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 matter. A Black Lives Matter. They matter, they matter. A Black Lives Matter.